Nice.
Welcome back, everyone. We're on to game 2 between the Copenhagen Wolves and DNL. DNL has already notched up 1 win against the Wolves, but anything is still possible. I want to start off here before we get into picks and bans talking about Woolite.
Very, very good performance on Lucian. I mean, he went 5-0-4, and generally every single team fight, him and Nick, was just the same thing. They would stay in the back line, do a lot of damage to Copenhagen Wolves, who mispositioned, as FLICKR pointed out.
And Unlimited as well, on the kind of opposite token in this one. He died very, very early. After they did a good 4-1 push on the outer turret, they were left as a 2 there, and Unlimited got hooked, gave up first blood. But after that, he was not on form in that game 1.
No, I definitely think he was a bit nervous. I mean, first of all, the hook you talk about, just give up a free kill for absolutely no reason, give first blood to Kikis. And then we saw the replay of the team fight, where he stays in the middle of everything. He even walked over every single mine from Ziggs, and then just died from the ultimate. I mean, he's the guy supposed to survive these fights and then help heal up everyone else from his team so they can out-sustain them. Yet he was always the first one to go down. He mispositioned. And same can be said about cowTard, of course. His Kassadin game was not good enough. Every single team fight, he jumped in and he just died instantly. So he did 0 impact. I would have liked to see an early Sonya's, so he could actually, early Outlast, so he could actually jump in and bait it out maybe. Instead, he went for Death Cap and just died.
Well, with the 2 teams about to head into picks and bans, we'd like to know who you think we're going to win this series, and go with Denial, picking up the first game, you know. That was, I think, a little bit of a shock for everyone. What you need to do, get over to Twitter and use the hashtag DNLWin or CWWin in a tweet to us at LOL Esports, and we'll check in shortly to see what you guys have to say. Of course, the pre-game vote heavily in favor of the Copenhagen Wolves.
Yeah, big time. And I think everyone expected Copenhagen Wolves to also win the first game. I mean, they were the favorites, but Denial came in very, very strong, and Copenhagen Wolves came in very sloppy. Didn't do anything actually in the game here. Nothing worked for them. I don't think they need to change up their bans a lot. I mean, I don't look at the champions from Denial and say it was this champion only who won the game. So I could expect to see the same bans here from Copenhagen Wolves, but possibly not the same picks.
Well, we're going to find out as we head into Champion Select then what is going to be thrown away here. Denial Esports, you can see, have banned out Karma here as the first ban, and Karma, of course, was banned in that last game as well. Mundo this time taken away by the Wolves. Babunia gets to play once, but no more, it seems.
No more. Very, very strong in the front line. Good laning phase as well. Kept up in farm with YoungBuck on Rise, so he did well, and now they actually decide to ban away. Both supports once again from Denial. Target towards Unlimited. They feel like this is the only 2 things he plays properly, so they want to ban him away. Put him out of his comfort zone. We could see a Morgana pick for him now.
Well, let's see Nidalee going away there. The owner Lucian banned out against, well, I say against Forgiven, of course it was Woolite who had it last time. That means they're not going to first pick the Lucian, and they don't want to give it to the Wolves in their first round.
Exactly, and Dexter would be proud here because you never want to give away Lucian for free, and they obviously wanted to first pick something else. It's Jax this time. It wasn't banned away. Rise is the last ban for Copenhagen Wolves. So due to the Lucian ban, don't even have to think about locking it in. Just instant going for Jax to Babunia up in the top lane. He looks like a very happy man.
Well, what are we going to see for the Wolves then, Ian? Still a good few options open. Interesting that they banned out the Rise there after playing it so well. Would they have first picked Rise? I don't know. Well, we're going to find out, of course, now. But Jack's first team for Babunia. What will the Wolves go for? Ziggs early on the red side when you've got the possibility of the counter pick?
Well, Ziggs is a very safe laner. Nick played in the last game. He was very strong on it, so they want to get it away from him. Get it onto cowTard, who again, his game on Kassadin, it wasn't anything close to okay. Actually, it was actually a very weak game. His laning phase was fine, but team fights, horrible. Ziggs here is a lot easier to position well, a lot more focus on poking, so it should fit him a lot better. And of course now Kha'Zix over to Amazing, played last game. I would like to say he was one of the people in team fights who did his job, but when it came to like apply pressure on the map, he actually did absolutely nothing in this game.
Very true. We'll see if they can step up. Well, the Wolves need to step up. Going 2-0 down, pretty much the worst scenario you can be in, because then you have to win those 3 games in a row. Such a mental torture, I think, to put that 3 games in a row together. On the other side here, for Denial, of course, Thresh got through here, and we are going to see Super A's picking that one up again, along with the Lulu for the mid lane. We've already got Jack, so that top laner is already secured in, and the support, so mid lane Lulu for Nick.
Mid lane Lulu here. Decent enough matchup against the Ziggs. Still, should be a lot of pressure coming out from cowTard here onto him. We need to remember, of course, Lulu won't be able to do her double glitter lance anymore, as the shield, the E, is now reduced down 4 seconds, so can't do the same amount of lane poke we saw earlier from a Lulu, but still a very strong pick. And the synergy between Lulu and Jax is fantastic in a teamfight. Like, you got the wild growth for him, you can speed him up with your Whimsy, he can just run right through the enemy team and go towards the carries and just become this monster here. So I like this setup already for them, and a lot of disengage again, just like we saw in the last game here. Thresh, of course, and then Lulu for the disengage. Very hard for Copenhagen Wolves to chase when there's a box and a glitter lance.
And Nick has already played it on 4.5 in a big tournament. The last game against Reason in the 3rd, 4th place qualifier, which got them into this very game right here. He played Lulu and ended 6-2-7. On the other side for the Wolves, Vladimir. YoungBuck has been picking him up every now and again. We saw him in game 1 against Gambit, played Vladimir in the game that they won, and also Graves coming in for a 2nd time in a row for Forgiven with that Lucian got.
So Vladimir against Jax up here in the top lane, unless we see some lane swaps, of course. Both of them actually scaled well into late game, but Vladimir is a fine split pusher, but he wants to get into team fights. He want to be there with his team, of course, put down his ultimate, and then, for instance, land the ultimate for both Forgiven and cowTard here. There's a lot of burst onto multiple people if they landed on a lot of people here. Could work really well for Copenhagen Wolves. When it comes to the split pushing part though, Jax is just a monster 1v1. When he gets to play the Rune King, the Trinity Force, and he can bully out someone like cowTard or someone like YoungBuck up in his top lane. So Copenhagen Wolves looking more for the team fights and a lot of AoE damage already for them. So Denial Esports needs to be careful they don't get caught out of position.
So Twitch picked up for Woolite, a champion that we saw from him in the game against Cloud9 Eclipse in the Challenger Playoff semi-final. Actually played Twitch all 3 games in that one, including the single game that they won in that best of 3 where he finished 13-4-7. Had a brilliant game that time around. And Xin Xiao here for the jungle. For Kikis, another similar scenario, has played him through in those Challenger Playoffs.
So Denial here got a lot of potential to dive onto the backline of Copenhagen Wolves and then leave Thresh and Lulu back to help out the Twitch so they can defend him, make sure Copenhagen Wolves won't be able to get to him. Copenhagen Wolves don't have a comp which dives onto the backline here. I mean, yes, both Vladimir and Amazing can get towards him, but they don't bring any CC to shut him down, so it can be hard for them to actually kill him here. Where though, if they can just get the entire Denial Esports team with all this AoE they're bringing, even if they lock in this Annie, it's even more AoE damage. Fighting around Baron and Dragon here can be very scary for Denial.
Well, that Annie does get locked in, and we said it before in the last game, when so much is focused on Unlimited in terms of bans, his fallbacks are obviously then a little bit more limited. The fact is that Annie's not being played as much anymore, but as you mentioned there, with that AoE comp, Annie kind of fits that to a
perfectly. I mean, yeah, fits in perfectly. Land the ultimate from YoungBuck, and then everyone just piles down all the damage. Mason goes into the front line to try and tank up some damage here from the Twitch, which of course with his spray and pray are gonna hit every single one if they're lined up from Copenhagen Wolves here. So going teamfight wise, I mean, Denial, they don't actually have to teamfight. They can focus on split pushing around. Twitch can move around the map with his stealth. Be very hard to actually notice when he's coming, and he can just pop up with the Jax and instantly kill you. So for Denial's side, they don't have to go into teamfights here. They can just kite around. And if Copenhagen Wolves want to engage, use the Thresh, use the Lulu to just disengage. Xin Xiao as well can knock people away. And you just move away, go back to split pushing. Never ever do they want a teamfight in small areas, because then it's only going to mean one thing, and that's a lot of AoE damage from the Copenhagen Wolves.
A lot of pressure on the teams in this one, specifically the Copenhagen Wolves coming in.
They need to win
as the higher seed. They were the team that got the first pick of the Challenger teams, and it seemed pretty black and white on paper, an easy choice when you saw Ninjas in Pajamas, Cloud9 Eclipse, and Denial. You were going to say Denial is the first team that you'd choose out of that one. Funnily enough, so far, it's the LCS teams that have come out ahead in both games.
In both games, and especially Super Hot Crew. I would even like to say Millennium. They looked like the strongest team. It was well-deserved. Super Hot Crew, of course, went 3-0. So for them, no real question here. Millennium lost 2 games, but if you look back at these games here, there was only one of them where NIP outplayed them, really won the game by themselves. The other one was the mistake by Creaton. The rest, though, was Millennium just dominating the games, and they really deserved to go in here. So, of course, their practice they get through a season here, their resources they have with analysts, coaches, everything to help them out, prepare for these games. It's something most amateur teams don't have, and that's where we really see the experience and the whole split for these teams for Millennium and Super Hot Crew, and potentially Copenhagen Wolves, if they manage to come back from this one here, can shine.
Yeah, also find it for the amateur teams, there's a bit more secrecy to them as well. It's harder for the Wolves to research Denial than the other way around. Even though, of course, Denial, they played a lot of games in those Challenger playoffs. They've been playing in the Challenger competition all throughout this spring split as well. So they still have games to fall back on and look at. But the fact is, the Wolves have played 28 games plus playoffs. Like, if you're ever going to be able to research a team easy, then that's the position to be in.
Especially when you look at the playoffs where you know everyone is bringing everything they got. I mean, during the normal season, teams often pick some new things, try them out, see how it goes. But playoffs, it's where you pull out everything. Denial, of course, could have watched every single game from Copenhagen Wolves they played, seen what worked for them, what went wrong, like how did Alliance beat them, how did Gambit beat them, and made a plan against it. And we see them coming in for game 1. Very fast rotations around the map, want to get towers down, and then every single team fight, they just managed to punish Copenhagen Wolves for making mistakes. And one thing we have to say, looking back at the games yesterday, which was very long and drawn out, where we have 2 teams who didn't really want to try and go to finish the game early, didn't want to take any chances. Denial, as soon as they got ahead, they just went straight forward. There was no looking back.
You can't fault them whatsoever on that move because they made a split-second decision. Okay, we're going to push through, we're going to go for the win. And they didn't look back. They had Babunia stood there at the front, Dr. Mundo tanking up those turrets all day long. Easy to push through. One thing I want to talk about on the Wolves side is the pressure that they seem to have on them in these best-of-3 series. We all remember back to that Gambit game, very long games.
Yeah.
The player camera showing the strain, I think, emotionally on the Copenhagen Wolves players.
All their players actually show a lot of emotion when it comes to both winning and losing. So if they do drop this map here now, I think it can be very hard for them to pull it back up because they're going to be so down, they're going to be so disappointed. They came in here as the favorites. They knew they were the favorites, of course, coming into this year. And it was their choice to pick Denial as the team. Like, they had first choice of all the teams here. So, of course, that's why, again, I'm saying they need to win this game. I mean, for them, otherwise, they have these players here who can start arguing with each other, and it can hurt them so much going into the 3rd game then.
Well, here we go. It's game number 2. Denial Esports 1-0 up over the Copenhagen Wolves in our best-of-5. As we head into game number 2, we'll see if the Wolves can tie this one up or whether Denial move just 1 win away then from their spot in the LCS. As I mentioned up until now, it's the LCS teams coming in, and look at that. That is a pretty much perfect swing in the opposite direction. 71% to 29% in favor of Denial.
Let's take it easy. We only had 1 game being played so far. Let's see how this game goes before we can start saying who's now the new favorite here. Denial, though, looked very, very strong. I have to give them the credit. If they do the same in this game, I'm not sure how Copenhagen Wolves actually want to respond. If we see the early pushing again, Zhao is also a jungler who's very good at pushing down towers fast. Of course, he won't be ranged, but when he gets to a tower, he does a lot of damage to it and very, very fast. So we could see Denial trying to do the same kind of thing. They are going for the blue buff, though, and Copenhagen Wolves, they are very far away. They're waiting all the way up here at their own top turret.
And Denial have the Copenhagen Wolves jungle right now. It belongs to them. Again, we see the itemless start from Super Ace, just favoring those wards, actually putting the pink there by the blue buff. Are they going to set something up for this one? The Wolves actually are moving around. And look at that ward there. Very, very interesting. That's going to give them very early spotting.
Copenhagen was the sort of ward. They pinged it instantly as it came down, so they notice a ward here. It's simply so they can spot where the dual lane from Copenhagen Wolves is going, so they can either swap away or go for the 2v2 if they favor, if they want it. And that's simply why they put the ward. And Copenhagen Wolves are going to move down with their dual lane, again pinging the ward. Also pinging to make sure that DNL are not waiting around in this area here, trying to catch out either Forgiven or Unlimited. Look how scared they are.
Hanging back behind the wall. Now they will show themselves though, so they know that that duo is headed down. Both Woolite and Super A's have already left Kikis to start off that blue buff, and with the positions that we've got, we'd expect that it's a simple trade of these blue buffs. But we'll have to see about that. We see that DNL want this lane swap. They saw the Wolves duo headed down bottom. They want the 2v1s.
Wanted a 2v1s. Very late swap by them actually, because both Super A's and Woolite stayed at the blue buff with Kikis to take it, and then they swap up to the top lane. So delaying it quite a lot. Copenhagen Wolves of course know it's going to be a lane swap now as they see nobody around, and that's why they again should actually be the faster team getting towards the tower. Amazing can move all the way down there. YoungBuck though is in the top lane, taking some damage from Woolite. Won't be able to join with his team unless he teleports down to push the tower.
And that is Woolite saying, okay, I'm here now, you can go away. Half of YoungBuck's health just taken from that one. And actually interesting start because Kikis got the blue, went to his red. On the other side of the map, Amazing got his red. His blue's already gone and he's not crossed over.
He couldn't go for this one because the fact he didn't see the dual lane down the bottom lane. So there was a chance they were already waiting up there, just waiting for him to show him, and then they would stop him from taking the blue buff and he would have to back away. So DNL, even though they delayed a lane swap, they actually get 3 buffs away now. Amazing only got the red buff simply because he couldn't move for the blue when he knew the dual lane would be there.
And we'll see how the AD carries farm actually develops, but this big wave will pretty much bring him level, and that wave is never going to get pushed into a position where YoungBuck can do anything.
So it means DNL won't be going for the tower, at least not for now. That's also why YoungBuck recalled and now walked all the way down to the bottom lane. Amazing is in the base, seems like he's not actually going to join them. YoungBuck though going to push the tower. Both Tzortziou and Babunia and also Super is recalled, so they give Woolite all the farm all by himself on this top lane here, and now they send multiple members down to defend this tower.
Babunia and Kikis are on the defense, and Thresh will be joining them as well, so that'll be 3v3, and the Wolves taking a couple of hits here from those turrets. They got just less than half of the health off that tower, and actually we saw that YoungBuck decided to back away from it. In fact, he's going to TP now to the top lane.
So he walked all the way down to the bottom lane. They now knew he was going to join in there, so they just sent multiple members to defend the tower and then forced YoungBuck to teleport up top. Amazing with the red buff here. Actually, the blue buff was not taken yet because Kikis had to defend the bottom lane. He's going to meet him actually in here. Needs to be careful from Amazing's side.
One ward actually coming down, and Kikis a little bit late to come over to this blue buff, but you see how scared Amazing is of actually sticking around from that one.
Double buff Tzortziou against the Kazakhs. Dexter talked about earlier today how Tzortziou is very strong pick against Kazakhs because he can duel him 1v1 here early on. So Amazing had to back away. Only got his red buff and now just needs to farm the jungle. So we do have now top lane fight between the Twitch and also a hook here from Super Ace that might be going for this one. Backs away though. No, but still. Now the lanes. The dual lane at the bottom is the support and the top laner. We got the AD carry versus the top lane up here in the top lane. Woolite is level 4 to level 3 of YoungBuck. Should be able to bully him out quite a lot. And Kick is also staying in case something should happen. Can always join in here. Bottom lane though, Jax is farming away for now. Being ahead of YoungBuck in CS, it's all that matters.
Yep, you come out of that one with the advantage. And you're going to be happy as a Jax player or a team that has a Jax on it. Good stun coming down, actually decent damage there onto Babunia. Yeah. Definitely don't want to be getting too low in that bottom lane because a recall will pretty much give up the turret.
Again, they invest so much into Woolite getting farmed, they might actually lose the tower for it. Maybe not this wave, but then the next or the next again. Good hook though from Super Ace.
And Unlimited not quite being hit by the turret there either though, so the hook would have come slightly earlier, maybe would have been different. Good damage again coming through. YoungBuck actually going low. That level up will certainly help him out, but he is struggling in this top lane. Only 12 CS to the 21 that Jax had from the bottom, plus their AD carry is getting that farm as well. Is in fact just 6 CS behind now, so in the grand scheme of things, they might say, okay, we may lose this bottom turret, but in the end, we're getting our Jax farmed earlier.
Yeah, well, we saw a lot of poke on to Babunia. He actually decided to not return to the bottom lane. He's going up top here. Woolite is going to recall himself. Now he feels he can go up with double Dawnblade and go against YoungBuck in the top lane. And also, if he had gone back to bot, they would have lost the tower. We saw all the damage coming in. Yes, he could pick up some farm, but they would lose the tower. So they send him now. Standard lanes is what we're going to see. However, though, Twitch is actually not even going to be ahead in XP, so didn't get too much from it. Only thing they actually got was trying to shut down YoungBuck, deny him some farm. And in the end they traded, Babunia being under-leveled now, and at the same time the bottom lane tower took a lot of damage, so not really worth it.
Oh, actually dive in here from Babunia, that's going to signal his presence. One thing I liked there was that Woolite didn't just get that farm and leave the wave to push towards YoungBuck turret, leaving Babunia with basically no chance to farm. Actually the stun going to be pulled away from there by YoungBuck.
YoungBuck though taking a lot of damage. He was already poked down before Babunia joined the lane from Woolite. Teleport is ready very soon. That's what he's waiting for. He needs to be careful though. He just needs the teleport to be ready. Then he can recall, join back to the lane. That's what he's going to do now. Teleport is up in just a few seconds. He can teleport to his tower, which of course is the reduced cooldown. Well, Limited though wanted to get the pink ward. Super denied it. Put down a new one down in his own tri-bush. That's pink straight away.
Yeah, that's a sick game to play. It's like, oh, one more hit and I got this pink. Oh,
yeah.
No, not quite. So Babunia, as we said, did the damage that forced YoungBuck to actually fall away, just trying to deny him for as much farm as he can get. He's come back into the lane with those 2 amp turns, so of course, moving himself up towards the revolver. First of all, we're also seeing the first blue buff of the game gifted over there to cowTard.
And Nick now moving towards the top lane. They really want to shut down YoungBuck. Babunia is not level 6 yet. Again, they want to give him enough help. And it's also one of the reasons they wanted to do this whole swap. They wanted to make sure Babunia could farm early on without YoungBuck just putting a lot of poke to him from range and giving him no chance, or trying to deny him a lot of farm. Didn't happen. The Babunia got a lot of farm in the bottom lane. Just need his level 6 and he should be okay in this top lane. Remember though, Vladimir, around the level 9 mark is where people say he's become really, really strong in the lane, and that's obviously, I think YoungBuck is gonna hit before Babunia because of the extra XP he got.
Also want to mention that we're now almost 9 minutes in, so easier turret take in the bottom lane is now not really a factor anymore, aside from the fact that of course the turret is already very, very low. Makes it in itself easier to finish off, of course. This top lane Babunia still running the lead though. Double Doran's blade for him. YoungBuck trying to keep it there as Amazing comes around. He's going to be spotted by that ward instantly.
Pretty low
as he comes in.
Very low as well, like barely any mana onto him, 50% HP. Just wanted to go in and ward and then go back because Kikis, if he had met Kikis here in a fight, he would have been destroyed.
Would have died to that one, that's for sure. And Kikis now is in fact headed up towards this top lane. Both YoungBuck and Babunia having a little bit of a scrap in there, and we see how low Babunia has gone. There is a leap strike coming in. It's going to force a flash instantly from YoungBuck.
Taking absolutely no chances. The pink ward covering was actually pinged as soon as it was put down because they knew as the ward up there disappeared, a new one would be placed somewhere, and there was pretty much only one spot. So they went straight in there, actually killed it now. Denied Super Ace some vision at least. In general, very good vision for Copenhagen Wolves around the map, but the same can be said about DNL when it comes to the solo laners here. They got pretty good vision control, can spot Amazing coming in pretty much anywhere. Babunia though is actually forced to recall, falling behind in CS. So even though they gave him this early farm, he still not enough for him to actually go one-on-one against YoungBuck, who's just bullying him out of the lane.
Oh, is this going to steal? No, it's not. That blew off. Actually it did, right? Or did he smite it away?
I think he smited it away, you know, I think he got a Kikis. He actually has a blue buff now, but still they denied it away from Nick, which was the whole deal, and Nick is already very low on mana. So cowTard now can get a lot of poke onto him.
Very, very close stuff there. cowTard almost being able to steal that one away. Here comes Amazing onto that mid lane, but honestly, you see level 9 Lulu, your hope is that you're not going to have any mana really to be able to wild growth if you do decide to go in a little bit underneath the tower. Amazing though, not really going for that one. Down in the bottom lane though, Tibber's coming out, Woolite down to half HP. No damage really back from Denial's side, but no kill. But will it be enough damage here to force them away from this tower that's, again, very, very low? The Wolves know that they can't go too close though. And let's not forget, the last first blood in game number 1 was when they got a little bit too close, went a little too deep. When Limited got hooked, the hook was going his way there, if not for that minion that was in the way.
So they invested both ultimates actually onto them, and then Woolite just took the Lantern to safety, didn't have to use the Summoner. So Copenhagen Wolves just want to get him down, but Babunia going towards YoungBuck.
Yeah, but he's got the pull, and that's the annoyance of this Vladimir. And YoungBuck knows he needs to be a little bit careful in that top lane after flashing that last time around, knows that he's a juicy target for Kikis to get involved.
Look how much time Kikis investing into this top lane. He comes up there every single time trying to help out Babunia. They want to get him going. They want to make sure YoungBuck won't just get free farm in this lane. So far though, not been working out. First the flash and now the pull from YoungBuck. Hard enough to gank him. His teleport is ready. He can recall, come back to lane.
Oh, amazing now. Snuck down onto the bottom lane, actually not being spotted here. Super A is going to go forward, throws the hook out. Maybe better if Forgiven actually got hooked by that one just to bait things out. Amazing here, he's going to sink his claws into Super Ace though and actually forced an instant flash from Super Ace.
Got the summoner down now. Konstantinos got full control of this bottom lane. Amazing, doing well on farm, Forgiven, sorry, doing well on farm and always pushing the lane in, getting 1 and 2 hits on the tower. It's just a matter of time before it goes down. This time though, Kikis is near the bottom lane, can try and set something up. Lantern from Super Ace, land a hook, and you see a dead either Graves or Annie.
Nick once again, is he going to go towards his top side of the map? He's been spotted by a ward already, so YoungBuck shouldn't have any problems whatsoever in avoiding this engagement. Well, you think he wouldn't. He's got the pull. We'll see if he can actually get away from it. He's going to get polymorphed up in this one. He's going to be popping his pull. Are they going to dive into it? There's the knockup from Wildcrow. Wow, and damage. He goes down. First blood. I'm not sure how that can happen when you've seen that Lulu is coming your way.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing again for DNL. They keep sending either Nick up there or Kikis up there to help Babunia. There's no flash on YoungBuck, and his pull, well, he came in time, but it just wasn't enough. There was so much damage coming in, both Babunia and Nick. And Cutlass already here. He's going to go straight for Blade Throne King. And this kill, of course, the first blood is going to help out a lot towards it. Once he picks it up, he should be able to sustain for himself. Still, though, DNL could invest a lot of time because the more kills you get on Jax, the better, right?
It's the better for Denial, that's for
true.
Sure. Not sure how that's going to work out for the Copenhagen Wolves. Here's another blue buff for cowTard. See an amazing tanking that one up a little until cowTard had finished off his wave in the mid lane. So let's take stock here. 13 minutes and 50 seconds into the game. 1-0 in kills after that first blood in the top lane for Babunia and Denial. And still behind though, if we look at the overall goal. No dragon attempt so far. 14 minutes, 5 seconds, and this is a very slow farming, passive even lane phases. Wow, Babunia dives in there. YoungBuck loses half of his HP instantly. Actually, he's got a flash available. There is the pull. Is Babunia going to go into the tower? He is, and he just kills him. That is real bad news for the Wolves.
Such bad news for Copenhagen Wolves. Really well played by Babunia here. He hit the minions twice, so the next one will be the extra damage from his ultimate. And then he just jumped onto YoungBuck, did so much burst damage to him. He didn't expect it at all, and then could just chase him up here. Cutlass again, giving some extra damage in the end. And just very easy kill for him, to be honest. So all the time DNL used to get him ahead, really paying off now.
Yeah, I mean, that combo from Jax, you can't really sustain it, doing it over and over and over again. But the fact is, you do it once, get your kill, push the wave out, go back home and chop, and then come back and do it all over again. That's certainly good enough. And actually, Merc Tread's picked up there by Babunia, got himself wards, another pot in as well. So he's going to come back into that lane, and YoungBuck's going to be finding it tougher again.
It's going to be very hard for YoungBuck. We just saw again how easy it was. There's no chance of YoungBuck to turn it around. We need to see how he decides to play. The flash is ready now, though, for YoungBuck. Same goes for Babunia, so could equal each other out. Meanwhile, though, bottom lane should be able to get this tower now. And Woolite very careful here.
Staying a little bit too late on this one. That's a lot of damage. Is he going to stealth away? He's managed to get the stealth, but can Super Ace now get away? Actually, amazing and come around as well. Woolite getting into the ambush quick enough there to escape. And that top lane, here comes Babunia once again, and YoungBuck half HP. The Wolves, though, are moving towards Dragon.
Moving towards Dragon. Tibbers is there, can help tank it. Good hook onto Amazing, takes quite some damage actually.
Putting the box down, I think he should be able to do this one though. He will be able to get it. Kikis was too early, he's going to go for Amazing. Wild Growth comes out. Nick is actually falling low as well. There's the bomb flashed away from by Nick. His exhaust did come down. Gets a good glitter land slow across the Wolves though, and they can't chase out. Good try. There's Babunia again. He's looking for the kill in the top lane. He's put down his ultimate. Another strike. He's surely going to do it. In the end turret, it comes down. That ultimate not really doing any kind of damage to it.
Oh, needs more AP, needs more levels for YoungBuck before the ultimate starts doing enough damage. Down the Dragon though, Copenhagen Wolves managed to deny Kikis from coming in there to try and steal it. And then forced him actually to just engage on. I think he went on to the tippers at first and turned it around, but then a very good lantern from Super Ace, who's playing really well on the Thresh here. He's always in the right moment at the right time here, so right moment at the right time. Right place at the right time.
That's it.
Right? The lantern got him out to safety there and actually managed to disengage the wave. The Wolves though, they get the dragon. Still need to worry about this top lane.
Still behind in gold are Denial, but jumps. That's basically my point from that one. YoungBuck going to be getting stronger. YoungBuck up at level 10 now, and as you mentioned, that magic level 9 threshold for Vladimir. We'll see how that really affects things. We saw amazing coming in there, but I think just realizing, okay, Babunia has already backed away. He's going to teleport straight into this top lane. Let's see if he goes once again for that similar strategy of, well, I think it's what we can call all in.
Yeah, very much all in. Twice in a row. Gotta kill the first time, forced away the flash the second time from YoungBuck. Still cause he's flashing on Babunia in case something should happen, in case he goes in for bad trade and then get out again. Meanwhile though, on the rest of the map, cowTard's actually been doing a good job farming, both for Given and cowTard is ahead of their lanes. Not by too much, but then they got the dragon, got the bottom lane tower, that's why of course they are ahead, and it's gonna be up to the 4 other members now from Copenhagen Wolves, at least until YoungBuck becomes stronger and can join in for team fights.
Well, we did see that Sinjar was coming up towards that top lane, and this time not making that same mistake. If someone walks over that ward on the ramp into your jungle, back away, as again Babunia jumps in. The stun is once again going to be pulled away from, and YoungBuck steals a little bit of life back, but half of his health gone by the time the pull comes up every single time here.
And the only thing Babunia is doing is just stacking up his passive, well, his ultimate's passive, and then as soon when it's ready, he jumps to YoungBuck, hits him in the face with his empowered strike, and then he wins the trade. YoungBuck needs to back away every single time. Cutlass wasn't used, summoners weren't used by Babunia. No issues for him, he can just continue to do it and then sustain himself. Copenhagen Wolves though, moving 2 members to the mid lane. Forgiven gonna go back to bottom lane and farm. Not much is happening at the moment. Both teams seem happy enough just farming away Denial, of course, because Jax gets stronger and stronger. And Copenhagen Wolves because they're actually winning the other lane, so they can continue farming.
214 to 189 CS. In the mid lane, we have to say though, Nick has been around the map and cowTard has not really been anywhere. As Babunia going to go on towards YoungBuck, there's a Hemo play going in. This time it's Babunia that has to flash away. He's surely going to fall. YoungBuck gets the kill back. That's what Amazing was there for. They get the job done. They'll probably have the tower as well. Very
good bait by YoungBuck, staying like he's been doing for the last few minutes. Every single time Babunia had the chance, he would jump him. Happens once again. This time though, Amazing was waiting around, picked up a kill, picked up a tower. Very well played by Copenhagen Wolves, and now pushing on to this mid lane.
That is the second turret going to go down as soon as the next minion wave comes in. Meanwhile, in the middle, they're going to flash timbers in. Nick gets blown to pieces. Unlimited actually getting the kill from that one, but that is going to be 2 turrets simultaneously for the Wolves.
A lot of gold being picked up here, and we see Unlimited when he's playing engaged champions. He's always the guy starting everything. Didn't even think about this one, just jumped in, tippers onto Nick here and piled everything. Forgiven used his ultimate, there was ultimate from cowTard, he just got blown up.
We said it earlier on, the AoE potential that the Copenhagen Wolves have. If that all gets dumped in the right place in a team fight, you can take a lot of people down very, very low, very quickly. 1 minute and 40 till the dragon actually is coming back into play. That was last time taken by the Copenhagen Wolves, actually. They got dragon number 1 in this one. Also seen a few more items coming in as well, so let's take a look at them. Death Cap and Athenes for cowTard on Ziggs. Athenes and the workings of the Death Cap so far for Nick, who's just getting in blue. Look at the AD carries. The Woolite going for the Blade of the Ruin King first of all.
Very smart actually. I really like that pickup for him because he got all the solo lane farm, the solo lane XP, so it makes him very strong in 1v1s if you want to try and sneak around the map, and a brutalizer now picked up as well. So full focus here on some early game damage from him, and if he catches out someone from Copenhagen Wolves, could be forgiven, could be scary. Babunia onto YoungBuck though, Kikis is joining in.
Oh, this is bad news. They're definitely healthy enough to go underneath the tower. Kikis goes charging forward first. He's not going to escape this one. Kikis actually picking it up there, swiping away with his ultimate at the end, and YoungBuck got 1 kill back in the tower in that top lane, but Babunia wanting to stamp his authority back on that lane.
And very good timing by Denial actually. Oh, Amazing going very aggressive.
It's going to get stunned up here, and Kikis actually was there, but Amazing. Well, I've been feeling confident, but couldn't quite get enough damage down in time onto Babunia.
But good timing by DNL here, because they actually started the gank way before the dragon would spawn, so they didn't put the jungle up top, and whoa, amazing going in! Ha!
That's what happens when you're recoiling on top of a ward. A little bit unlucky there. That ward was about to time out as well from the Copenhagen Wolves side, but amazing seeing that he had an opportunity.
They can do dragon.
Yeah, gonna start it off. Well, obviously there's no Babunia for this fight. Woolite is alone on the bottom side. He's got no turret behind him there, so they can just force him to back away from things. They need to speed it up though. Babunia's gonna be up in 10, but I think the Wolves should be pretty safe on this dragon takedown. Yeah, we can see that DNL are actually backing away. This is gonna be the second dragon for the Wolves.
Big plays by Amazing, getting the kill onto Babunia so they could rotate to dragon. He just spawned when the dragon actually died. No chance for him to join in. I'm really looking forward though to see Woolite here, where he decides to go next with his build. And also how he decides to play with it. Is he gonna focus on trying to find out one member from Copenhagen Wolves and gank them and kill them 1v1, or is it more for team fights, where he's, of course, the Blade of the King is gonna help him kite around, it's gonna help him survive, do a lot of damage as well to everyone. And if he goes for either a Black Cleaver, he's gonna hit on every single member, like every spray and pray he hits, gonna apply the stack, of course. If he goes for the Ghost Blade, it could also be more for his one-on-one potential and his kiting potential.
Not the usual Twitch build that we've been seeing, although that Blade of the Ruin King, of course, pretty much the popular choice these days. Babunia again getting free farming that top lane, but YoungBuck pushed it out, actually went back to his own jungle, cleared out a couple of camps and remains in the lead on that front. He's in a position now where 1 versus 1, I think he can deal with Babunia, but if it comes to a 2v1, we saw it before, that Kikis, especially the added damaging from Xin Zhao, is just too much to handle.
He needs to be very careful though. If he gets caught out around this area here in the lane, there's very long to his own tower, and Babunia will be able to chase him. Yeah, like now is a good example.
Nick's coming in from the side of this one. YoungBuck is already at half HP. Where's he going? He's going to try and go backwards. Blade of the Ruin King is going to steal all that movement speed. He's going to pull, but he's going to get stunned anyway, and he's going to go down. It's kill number 3 for Babunia's Jax.
And again, Nick, whenever he has a chance, he just roams away. He sacrifices some farm in his own lane. cowTard can push out the wave, but he doesn't care. He just goes straight to top lane, gets a kill on YoungBuck, who was overextended. That's a long way till his own tower there. So very easy gank for DNL, and no chance for Copenhagen Wolves to respond elsewhere. So good timing again.
Very, very good timing. And all those kills stacked on Jax pretty much. Obviously, there's a single one for Xin Zhao. Kikis. See when we get to more team fighty stages of this one if that's ever going to happen. I mean, we are 24 minutes into this one. The Dragons have been fairly uneventful going down towards the Copenhagen Wolves. The towers themselves all in the favor of the Wolves. They've not got a single tower so far, DNL. I don't actually remember if they've really done any damage to any of these towers either.
Very little amount at least. Maybe the top lane took a few hits. I don't even think so. They actually just killed YoungBuck and backed away every single time. So for DNL's case, again, they're just waiting for Babunia to become so strong, and then they can always send someone like Woolite. He can stealth up there, join in with Jax, and just get an easy kill and then push a tower. Or they can do it with Nick. We saw Whimsy himself run up through the river, get up there for the gank. So just been putting so much focus onto getting Babunia hit and punish YoungBuck whenever they had the chance. It means though, again, as we talked about earlier, the rest of the lanes from Copenhagen Wolves are actually winning out and farming really well, except now Forgiven actually fell behind here to Woolite. Earlier, it was though Forgiven and cowTard both winning the lanes.
I want to mention there was a Ghost Blade that came out in the end for Woolite. We're going to the Brutalizer. Kikis and Babunia again. A pretty woeful team. You don't want to end up in a 2v2 against that combination. Looks like they're going to try and come and have a go at the red buff, though. In the end, that buff will be taken away. Went on to Lulu.
And it's a lot of attack speed here for Woolite once he pops his ultimate in the fights, pops the Ghost Blade here. It's 40% extra attack speed. He's just going to hammer away on everyone. Copenhagen Wolves need to be very careful they don't line up for him. They are pushing towards this mid lane though. Woolite stealthing in.
This is the exact position that they want them to be in. Woolite trying to get forward. Obviously get some movement speed as well. There is a Prey and Spray coming through, and he's going to do a lot of damage with a bomb coming back there from cowTard. Babunia is going to fall. Amazing goes low. They focus towards Kikis, who will fall as well. Slowly but surely. And that is a 4 for 1 here. The Wolves outmaneuvering Denial, getting the kills, and now they are going to turn to the Baron.
So Denial did the mistake Copenhagen Wolves did in game 1 when it comes to teamfights against something like a Ziggs here. They just rush in towards him, and all the damage from cowTard turned around on them. YoungBuck was there in with his ultimate, and there was just so much damage from Copenhagen Wolves. Forgiven just managed to fire away everything before he died. What a hero move by him. And there's so much AoE damage we talked about. Whenever Denial in a fight, if they group up, they're just gonna get blown to pieces.
An AoE comp. They can bring back Curse of the Sad Bullet time in the next one.
Give us some Mumu.
If they want to go that far. Let's have a look though at that fight once again. Woolite couldn't really do anything until this point.
Look here. 5 members together from Denial. The ultimate from cowTard comes down. Boom! 3 members get just blown up here. Kikis takes a lot of damage. Babunia is left, tank away, but from here on, there's no chance for him to take anyone down when all this AoE damage from Copenhagen Wolves get onto the important member, the squishy members. There was actually flash ready on Woolite here. Decided not to flash away from this one, just got blown up completely.
Not ideal, that's for sure. And of course it is spray and pray, not pray and spray.
I like pray and spray more.
The good thing is I don't even have to care about that for much longer, do I? Because 4.6 will be coming along for us soon, and it will then be a long distant memory. Either way, it's 7-5 in kills to the Wolves. 3-0 still in turrets. I had a quick look through the outer towers. There's not really been much damage done at all by Denial onto those turrets, and we've got just over 10 seconds until the next dragon of the game comes up. And with those kills, then the Baron, then the dragon, that is a big amount of gold to swing in the Wolves' favor.
Copenhagen Wolves can just take all 5 members if they want to and just start walking down the mid lane, walk down the bottom lane, and just go straight towards the tower here. Force Denial in here to try and wave clear it. Actually, only Lulu has decent wave clear on Denial's side, unless, of course, Twitch will use the spray and pray, which he shouldn't do. So they're actually forced to team fight if Copenhagen Wolves just group up and push down a tower. And that's why Copenhagen Wolves, with their comp, is so strong. So
they just say, ultimates go, and then, see what damage is done after that. Funny thing is, with those ultimates, they can actually just disengage straight away after that, throw the ult in and then just attack them from range. This is, is YoungBuck dying to Babunia again.
This is why I don't understand YoungBuck moving to the top lane. Go with your team down this mid lane, force Denial to recall, put all 5 members to defend, or they're gonna lose the inhibitor. Don't care about Jax in the top lane, let him take 1 tower if you take the inhibitor. Instead though, because YoungBuck went up to the top lane, Nick wasn't even needed there. I mean, he would have died one-on-one to Jax.
You can only do that split push if you're strong enough to 1v1 the person that's going to try and stop the split push, which we've seen time and time again that YoungBuck cannot 1v1 right now, especially not right now against this Jax. And Babunia might actually get the first turret of the game for Denial.
Copenhagen Wolves can just dive as well. Like, they don't even care. With all this damage, if they engage with Unlimited, his Flies is ready very soon. Their target day stun is gonna die, and they can just pile or move on there against Denial. As long as Jax is in the top lane, who cares? He got 1 tower. Copenhagen Wolves took 2 turrets for it in exchange. With YoungBuck, could have been even more.
So the Wolves pushing further forward from this one. Actually going to rotate around to the middle. That wave, that lane is actually pushed up to the halfway point there. So not exactly easy for them to just turn around, but they're going to try and push out top as well. The top inner turret is the only turret outside of Denial's base that is still left standing. So I talked about that whole swing of gold with the Baron and the Dragon after the team fight, and now a couple of turrets as well. Leaves it over or just under 10,000 gold. A very comfortable lead here for the Wolves.
Looking very strong. The last team fight was just a perfect example of how to play the AoE comp and how not to play against it. For Denial side, they just came in all grouped up. The AD carry was in the middle of everything. Instantly blown up here. Needs to be very careful when they fight. And obviously for them, the best thing is if Copenhagen Wolves decide to split up in all the lanes and they can use this Jax, they can use the Twitch with Blade of the Rune King and Ghostblade to find targets and kill them one-on-one or 2v2. And from there on, just push on. But as long as Copenhagen Wolves stay together, they won't be able to do it.
There, amazing actually coming around the side. Denial were already waiting from him on that one, but there is the pick up from Nick, and now they're going to have a go at Amazing. No, they're not. They don't want to fight this one. Denial said probably the worst place to fight against his comp inside of a tight jungle area. Let's not do that.
Definitely one of the worst places. cowTard wasn't near though. Same goes for Twitch, was not nearby. Well, actually, YoungBuck, he picked up a blue trinket here. I like the fact that teams start doing it here, where it was buffed in 4.5. The range is 1,000 longer. It also lasts for a second longer here. So I like the fact they pick it up, especially coming into the late game, where vision means so much. And also, you want to use it so you don't face check onto someone like DNL here.
Yeah, I mean, Millennium used it brilliantly yesterday. The kill setup that they had with the Scrying Orb and then Cortinex's Nocturne flying through with his ultimate. That was pretty impressive to watch, I have to say, and always good to see that Scrying Orb being used more and more. Meanwhile, here in this one, the Copenhagen Wolves taking down that final inner turret of the game. That leaves them 6-2 up in turrets with 2 minutes, just under 2 minutes left on the Baron. Interested to see now, with the Copenhagen Wolves having such a commanding lead, how they finish off the game.
It's been the issue for them, looking back at the LCS season. Whenever they were ahead, they didn't actually know what to do, or didn't feel confident enough just making one move as a team. We really need to see if they fix this coming into the relegation. They got very, very good vision control around the map, so they can set up this Baron, force DNL then to move towards the Baron pit, and then just blow them up with the whole comp. Or they can just say, we don't actually need the Baron, we don't want to risk you guys coming in, winning a fight, taking the Baron, so we just decide to ignore it for now and group up towards your tower, force you to try and defend it with your lack of wave clear, which we talked about, and just poke them away. If the Ziggs can poke a lot, of course Forgiven, it's hard for him to get in and poke there, but if they engage onto Forgiven, he can do a lot of damage on the turret.
Wolves are going to start to stack up in the mid lane. I think just waiting for YoungBuck to actually come around to this. Jax falls off in the bottom lane. He has teleport available though, so worst comes to worst, he can just TP straight back in. We see cowTard already starting that poke and zone as he throws in the bouncing bombs and laying those mines right at the front. The minions don't even get past the steps.
Just keep doing. Also, 4 champions from Copenhagen Wolves can actually poke on the tower if they get the chance. Only Amazing is melee here, so he won't, of course, be able to do it. Means again for them, as soon as they land some poke, force someone to go back, they can just move in, hit the tower. Kikis taking a lot of damage. Needs to be careful here. Woolite was looking for maybe an engage. Got the Whimsy from Nick and also the shield, but decided to back away. I think that was a wise enough idea. Don't want Twitch to be the first one going in.
And I said in the early game that they didn't run an Orianna, even though it was banned in game number 1. I think I was actually wrong on that point, because I remember them using Woolite as the man to stealth in that game.
Give him the ball.
Give him the ball, stealth in, and use the shockwave. I think that was in that game. I've written needly down, but it must have been an Orianna, because otherwise that ban wouldn't make sense. There we go anyway, a Baron for the Copenhagen Wolves. They've got all 3 dragons of the game. Both of the Barons, a commanding lead now. 12,000 gold that they have. I said all the dragons, look at DNL, they're out of the base there saying, okay, we need something here, otherwise
they need to go back fast.
This game is going to slow down to the point where we can't do anything anyway. They are all trying to recall in here. The Wolves are already in position. Kikis is the only one that can really hold the Wolves away from this one, and Tibbers will be able to tank things up pretty long as well, and surely enough that they can actually take this. Kikis actually using his ultimate. The rest of DNL do get in, and they manage to hold on to that inhibitor turret, at least for now.
Because DNL went for the Dragon, and they expected Copenhagen Wolves to either go top lane after the Baron or recall and shop, they were actually caught completely out of position. A lot of damage onto this last tower for them. They need to defend this one, because once Copenhagen Wolves get into the base, it's going to be an easy inhibitor, and then they rotate around to the other lanes. Woolite though, look at his position here. Very, very aggressive.
And they're going to try and fight this one out. Wild Growth coming in, and the spray and pray doing a lot of damage there. Actually, 2 men down for the Wolves, but we see Babunia very, very low. YoungBuck falls low. Woolite actually is going to be focused down. A good play comes in, but Woolite will drop. And Amazing is just ripping through them, getting those resets in. Can he finish off Nick? Good shield there. The slow as well underneath the turret. The Void Spike's not enough into range to get in, and that will be another 4 for 2. And despite those 2 initial early kills, both of which there's a Summoner Heal and 2 flashes still available there, you know, 4 for 2, showing the strength of the Wolves.
Copenhagen Wolves simply got caught off guard here by Woolite being from the side, just blowing them up and going on to Nick.
Oh, this is going to be an ace, because Nick not going to get away from it. It's actually Amazing that picks up that kill there in the end, and that is the inhibitor going down. Still 10 seconds until only Thresh comes up. I think they could actually go through and possibly win the game here. They're going to have to go quickly if they want to do that one. I think that no, they're not going to. They take 1 Nexus turret down and they back away.
Back away here. Still a very good engage by DNL. Woolite from the side, popping his Ghostblade, just tearing through people. He has so much damage onto Copenhagen Wolves. But then YoungBuck managed to survive. Amazing, of course, with his 50% damage reduction and Unlimited just staying far back here. Could turn everything around once the 2 members actually died, and there were still 4 members left from Denial. But still, everything was used. Went on to Woolite, got the kill onto him, and could then chase on, pick up the last few kills. Just showing as well how far ahead Copenhagen Wolves actually are. If they've been even in gold here, with the engage from Denial, instant killing these 2 members, they would have won the fight so easily.
In that case, for Denial though, they are not even close to being even in this one. Take 18,000 gold lead pretty much that they have on the board here. 37 minutes in, the Wolves have that in him down. The first Nexus turret already wiped off the map as well. Is it just a case for the Wolves of going down that middle lane once again and pushing straight through for a fight and a win?
Well, they can go for the 2 open, or not open, but the 2 last inhibitors here. Going straight for the Nexus, a little bit risky. They actually want the super minions to push down the mid lane while they are in the bottom or in the top. So the super minions always goes in towards the Nexus, gets a few hits on the tower, force someone from Denial to go back and defend it. That's why they can now go down towards this bottom lane. The top lane, though, should actually be pushing in favor of Denial. We'll be doing that for quite a while, so they can just go straight towards this bottom tower. And there's a Guardian Angel onto Amazing. He can go in as the first member, tank the tower if Copenhagen Wolves just want to dive. I mean, if they know where Woolite is, they can engage onto him and then just blow him up. Because he's the guy now for Denial who needs to do everything in these fights.
I saw the last fight that he was very effective. A lot of damage done, but not enough to finish off and really get through the extra stats that the Wolves had in that fight. With the Baron on as well, we should probably add in that one. So they try and hold on. Babunia himself has got a Guardian Angel. Wave's just been completely wiped out.
Every
Super is catching the bombs there. Down to half HP. He's going to go straight back and regen.
Needs to go back here. No minion wave for Copenhagen Wolves though, so can't actually use. No, he stayed. 2 more bombs from cowTard and he's gonna die.
Well, he's done a good job of catching them so far, and there is the bomb coming in. Super Ace goes down. Forgiven finishes off, and thought he was going to go back to regen himself back up.
Probably should have.
He probably should have. I hate to say, but maybe called that one. Now the super minions are coming in. The Wolves, 5 versus 4. Are they going to try and win the game right here? Babunia actually getting stunned up. He's going to dive in. Wild Growth comes down. And Babunia actually surviving for a long time in this one. Unlimited is going to die to the poison of Twitch. Babunia gets his GA pop. 3 men are already down here. And the Wolves can just finish off the Nexus. Forgiven keeping Nick busy there inside of the base. And the Wolves will tie up the series at 1-1.
Well played by the Copenhagen Wolves. YoungBuck had some issues in the top lane, but the rest of the members did really well. Got ahead in farm, and then we had the big team fight in the mid lane where Copenhagen Wolves just exploded everyone from Denial. One hit took the Baron, and from there on, they were just so far ahead.
Amazing there, you saw on your screen was looking a lot happier after game number 2 than game 1. He finished 8-0-3 on that Kazakhs. Definitely had more of an impact this time around. And you know, for Denial, it wasn't all bad. No, you know, we saw Babunia doing very, very well, but nothing else was really. Yeah, they didn't do anything particularly wrong. They slowly but surely just fell behind. There wasn't a massive team fight that really threw it. They
invested so much time and effort into getting Jax to it. Like first, with the lane swap early on, we actually had down the bottom lane it was Super Ace and Babunia being a dual lane all of a sudden because they didn't want YoungBuck to bully him out early on. So they got him some levels, got him some farm in the bottom lane, then sent him top lane. Kikis came up there twice, Nick came up there twice. Like they invested so much into Babunia. It worked for them because he got ahead. He could one-on-one YoungBuck. He killed him multiple times. But the issue was they just fell behind the bottom lane. The tower went very low before they even switched down there. Mid lane, cowTard was about 50 CS up, at least around the 25-minute mark against Nick on Lulu. So the other lanes didn't do too well because they invested so much time onto Babunia. And then we had the big team fight in the mid lane where it really sealed the deal for Copenhagen Wolves because we talked about the AoE comp. Denial went in every single member together and they just got destroyed in the fight. 4 members survived from the Wolves, went straight for Baron, picked it up, and then they could just walk straight down mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, the Wolves, they slightly pulled ahead into that one. Then they had that fight which just jumped their lead, and then, as I said, they just went straight to Baron. They did Dragon after that. They pushed down 2 turrets at that point. That kind of comp where, to be honest, if you're going to fight it, you make it easier to land that AoE because they know exactly where you're going to be. Tibbers comes down, catches at least a couple of you. The bomb's got a massive radius. Vladimir can throw the Hemo Plague easier down there. So everything executed nicely by the Copenhagen Wolves. Finished that game in 39 minutes, which actually a decently fast game for the Copenhagen Wolves.
Yeah, normally we've seen them so many times go 50, 60 minutes. Against Gambit, they did the same thing. So this time around, as soon as they got a big enough lead, went straight for Baron, went there for straight down the base. YoungBuck went top once, died again, and then he decided to join with his team. And from there on and out, there was nothing DNL could do in return. They tried. They had the team fight where Woolite from the side did a lot of damage to them, but Copenhagen Wolves were just so far ahead, it wasn't enough. I still do. I like the tactic from DNL. I mean, you want to get Jax fed so he can split push. You had the Twitch building Blade King and Ghost Blade, so first of all, it works better in a team fight because you can probably get so much damage on your spray and pray, but also for the one-on-one, the mobility you get. So they wanted him to, you know, be able to catch someone out of position and then just win by split pushing around, never team fighting.
Well, that brings that series to 1-1. We're going to let me try that one again. We're going to send things over to Shox and Quickshot, and of course, xPeke, to break things down a little further.
Thank you very much, Joe. Yeah, guys, the Copenhagen Wolves coming out strong here in Game 2. Not too phased by that loss in Game 1. What do we make of picks and bans? DNL this time on the blue side, first lock in Jax, and then the rest of their team comp. What did you make of it?
I want to be quite frank, and I don't know if I like the Annie pick. Unlimited did good work with it. He had a lot of good stuns, but I just feel like it's the second game in a row, Soraka and Annie, using supports that we're not seeing anybody else be successful with. So you have to ask, you have to question why. But at the end of the day, stuns were good, so he made it work. That's what matters. Yeah,
have we found the edge of his champion pool maybe as well? Peke, what did you make of both comps?
Well, exactly. It worked in the end, so it was a good pick. But I was worried like you at first, because he's not really a reliable engage. Only when he has flash, he can actually do good engage. Without flash, there is no way they can catch anyone. So I was a bit scared of that, but it worked out, especially in that mid-fight where he managed to stun them all and combo them with Thick's ultimate and kill them.
Exactly, he did really well, and we actually have a replay of that fight and that stun. You can pull that up on the screen. It's beautiful when it goes out well for an Annie, of course.
It really is. Up until this point, Copenhagen Wolves had really only just clawed very small advantages. Let's roll this replay out, and things get very chaotic very, very quickly. YoungBuck manages to join in from behind. You actually see a teleport coming down from Babunia on Jax, and initially, I started thinking to myself, this is going to be very, very scary. But look at the stun there from Unlimited. He locks up both Twitch and Lulu and just gets all of that burst damage down with the Hemo Plague, with Ziggs, and they just melt absolutely every single member of DNL. Unlimited is the man of the moment in that team fight.
Yeah, big stun by Annie. The Jax couldn't do that much. Remember yesterday, Kevin having that 5-man stun, it was very, very well. But then here, even though they invested so much in the Jax, it didn't really pay out.
Yeah, they gave him 2 kills early, which is really good, but they didn't really get anything from that. He still lost the turret first. He was equal in farm. The Vladimir was still able to farm. Even if he was like 1-5, he was as useful as the Jax. Like, what are 2 kills when Copenhagen Wolves was taking Drake, turrets, even top turret, and they had... Vladimir probably had the same goal, even being so behind in kills.
Yeah, Jax can 1v5 in theory, but he needs to be way further ahead to pull off when your whole team just gets instantly popped.
Yeah, I think also he should try to split push a bit more until he get a bit tanky, because at that point he had the damage to kill anyone one-on-one, but he was squeezy. He died, like, he did 3 hits, I think, a stun, and he died. So he had to wait until he had Trinity Force, maybe a random and a Negatron or something, then he can go into a fight and do whatever.
Much like DNL in Game 1, Copenhagen Wolves really pushed their advantage when they could, and they actually went straight for the objectives and the inhibitor, and actually a good fight at the inhibitor as well, as we can pull that replay up on the screen where Amazing had some cool resets.
Yeah, so Amazing manages to get some very good resets. I want to ask your opinion on DNL's positioning on this one, because it felt to me like it was a little off. Let's roll this clip out, and Peke, talk to me about the 2 different teams.
Okay, well, right now that engage is a bit weird, but they managed to pull it off really good, because they one-shot the Thicks and the Graves. They are not even able to flash away, which is a bit bad from them not to react. But then they let the Vladimir really low HP to escape, come back, and the Kikis was pretty much full HP on touch, and he's full damage, he's not tanky. So they ignored him for too long, I think. They should have tried to kite him earlier, or not get so confident that they thought the fight was over, probably, when they killed the 2 carries. And they just went like moving around, they stopped focusing, and Vladimir kept hitting. Kikis went on them and killed them, and yeah, he was full HP on touch.
I want to say, even though Denial lost this game, I feel like they did show initiative when they were behind. Like that mid-game fight, they did teleport in, they tried to go for it, so I feel like with a few adjustments, the next game could be close.
If you actually go back and look at from the beginning of this game to the mid-game, it was Denial that were in the lead. They had the kills, they had a Jax that was looking like he was going to get fed, but there was some good map play around the 15 to 20 minute mark where Wolves took 2 towers in quick succession, they got a dragon as well, and it gave them that gold lead and that confidence they needed to push through and get control of the match back.
So we have to turn the question around. After game 1 it was, what do Copenhagen Wolves have to do? Now it is, what do you think Denial has to do going into picks and bans of the next game, Pique?
Well, I think their picks were kind of fine. I don't really like they really have, the Twitch is good, but he was so easy to catch there with any things. He has no way to get in. Maybe, like I said, they will have pick the same but play differently. A split push, a bit longer. Twitch bottom, he can one-on-one anyone. Jax top, he can one-on-one anyone. Wait until they are really fed, because you saw in those fights, when Twitch gets to hit and crit, he can kill anyone in 2 or 3 shots, but they didn't let him get enough items.
Completely agree. I actually feel picks and bans was pretty good from Denial, and it comes down to execution. I think they had a very good early game, but it just kind of fell to pieces a little bit in the mid-game. So more decisive play from them.
Trevor, do you think that they might not necessarily know when to split push?
It definitely could be. I mean, it's one of the more difficult facets of this level of play. So it could also be the fact that Copenhagen Wolves didn't give them the chance. Copenhagen Wolves grouped up, forced a reaction down the mid lane. It's something Deficio was saying during the cast. Ignore Jax. He is forced to either take a tower alone and then lose an inhibitor turret, or he needs to recall, in which case you get the advantage anyway. So it needs to be a bit of push and pull.
We'll see what happens in Game 3, but we need to take a quick break. When we return, it is time for that Game 3 between the Copenhagen Wolves and Denial, which is now tied at 1 apiece. We'll be right back to find out what happens.